I always believed trust was a foundation of any meaningful relationship. For 8 long years, that belief kept me grounded, even when life hurled its trials at us, even when the world outside felt uncertain. But the cruel irony of trust is that while it's the most vital thread binding two souls, it's also the most fragile. It doesn't explode when it breaks. It quietly shatters like glass under pressure until one day you find yourself standing among the shards, wondering exactly when things started to fall apart. Claire had been my entire world. We met in college, and from the first moment, it felt like fate. She wasn't just a woman I fell in love with. She was the one I built a life with. We shared dreams, carved a home from nothing, and raised 2 incredible children together. Our life was far from perfect, but it was ours. At least, I thought it was. It began with the tiniest of shifts, things that were easy to ignore if you wanted to. She came home later than usual, offering vague explanations about work meetings and deadlines. Her phone, once left carelessly on the kitchen counter, became something she clutched like a secret. She'd turn it face down when I walked into the room. There was a new perfume clinging to her skin, just faint enough that I questioned my own senses. But my gut, that instinct we all too often silence, tightened with suspicion. And still, I convinced myself, maybe she's tired. Maybe work is taking a toll. Maybe I just need to trust her. But denial has an expiration date. One night, after the kids had fallen asleep and the house had settled into silence, I walked into the kitchen and saw her phone, unlocked and unattended, glowing softly on the counter. My heart pounded. I knew I was standing at the edge of something. Once I looked, there would be no going back. And I looked. The messages were unmistakable. Flirtation soaked in emojis, suggestive pictures, plans to meet, a stranger's name, a stranger's words. My chest hollowed out as I stared at the digital evidence of betrayal. My mind spun with questions I couldn't answer. How long had this been happening? How could she look me in the eye every day with this festering underneath? But I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed clarity, not chaos. Over the next few days, I watched silently, her comings and goings, the way she smiled at her phone when she thought I wasn't watching. She had no idea I knew. And then came the night she told me she was going out with friends. I said nothing, pretending I had late work. I stayed home, cloaked in darkness, waiting. When Claire walked to the front door later that night, she looked startled, just for a second. Her eyes betrayed her, and that was all I needed. I was holding her phone in my hand when I asked, barely above a whisper, "Who is he?" Her entire face drained of color. She didn't deny it. There were no lies left to tell. The truth poured out in a trembling confession. She spoke of loneliness, of feeling invisible inside a home full of love. She said I had drifted too far, buried in work, in fatherhood, in the daily grind. She said it started with harmless messages. She didn't mean for it to become more, but it did. I sat still, not trusting my voice. 6 months, half a year. That's how long she had been betraying me while sleeping beside me, eating meals with me, raising our children with me. Every unexplained absence, every cold touch at night. It all made sense now. I felt as if I'd been living in a house built on sand, and now it was crumbling beneath my feet. She begged me to give her a chance, to forgive, to fight, to go to counseling. I couldn't speak. The pain was too loud. That night, the house felt haunted. Not by ghosts, but by silence. The laughter of our children, the clatter of dinner plates, even the way we used to argue over nothing. It all disappeared. I sat alone in the dark, replaying every moment of our life together, wondering where I went wrong. Had I ignored her needs for too long? Had I stopped making her feel seen? Sleep didn't come. Only questions. The days that followed were heavier than any I'd known. We were under the same roof, but we might as well have been worlds apart. Conversations were brittle, her apologies stiff with shame. I saw her trying, but I didn't know if I could ever see her the same way again. I wasn't angry all the time. Sometimes I was just numb. The kids noticed. Their laughter became uncertain. Their eyes searched our faces for answers we weren't ready to give. I kept telling myself I was protecting them. Maybe I was just delaying the pain. One afternoon, I found Claire sitting in the backyard, gazing at the horizon like she was hoping it would offer her forgiveness. I sat beside her, the silence between us stretching wide. "I need to know," I said quietly. "Why?" She looked at me, tears already in her eyes. "I felt invisible," she whispered. "You were always busy, with work, with the kids. I just needed to feel something. I needed to feel wanted." Her words sliced deep. It wasn't just about infidelity. It was about what we both lost, the connection we let slip between routines and responsibilities. The love was still there, but it had become a quiet echo rather than the fire it once was. We tried. In the weeks that followed, we really tried. Counseling sessions dug up old wounds, resentments, miscommunications, disappointments neither of us had dared voice before. Trust became a puzzle we weren't sure how to solve. Every time her phone buzzed, I watched her. Every time I walked out the door, she asked when I'd be back. We were both drowning in doubt. But then there were moments, small, fragile moments that didn't feel forced. Her laughter at something silly one of the kids said. The way her hand lingered a second longer on my arm. The flicker of something familiar in her eyes. I remembered the woman I married, and I remembered why. Still, love alone couldn't erase the betrayal. It clung to every interaction like a shadow. And I had to ask myself, was I willing to live in its presence? Could we ever build something real again with that kind of fracture between us? One night, after the kids had gone to sleep, we sat down. No walls, no anger, just two wounded people trying to find a way out of the storm. "I can't promise forgiveness today," I told her, "but I'm willing to try. If you are, and not just for the kids, for us, because I need to know this means something, that we're fighting for something real." She nodded, tears in her eyes, and reached for my hand. That night didn't fix everything, but it was the first brick laid on a new path, uncertain, messy, slow. A path built not on blind trust, but on brutal honesty. She never knew I had uncovered her secret until the night she came home and saw it in my eyes. That moment changed everything. It didn't just break our world, it exposed it. And somehow, through the pain and the heartbreak, it gave us a chance to rebuild. Not what we had before, but maybe something stronger.